Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Consultus Chat. Today we're going to be discussing ESOS and in particular phase 4 and how that links into a customer's wider net zero journey. I'm joined today by Steve Atkins. If you'd just like to introduce yourself and your role within the business.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm Steve Atkins. I'm a Principal Consultant for Net Zero here at Consultus, having been with the business for 21 years. And my role is principally to help customers out with their transition into a net zero future.
Brilliant. As I mentioned at the start, initially talk around ESOS. We've just completed phase 3.
Yep.
We're now entering phase 4 of the ESOS scheme, and what's come with that is a few additional reporting requirements. Can you just talk us through a few of the changes to the scheme and what customers need to be aware of that's now at play?
Yep, certainly. You're quite right. ESOS phase 3 is now done and dusted, having finished on the 5th of August this year. Our auditors, however, are ready to continue servicing our customers and to identify further energy savings for them. As we move into phase 4 of the scheme, however, the government has attempted to give the scheme a little bit more teeth. As part of the ongoing requirements, on the 5th of December this year, the customer is expected to submit an action plan, which is based on the ESOS phase 3 findings, but puts a little bit more flesh into exactly what the customer intends to do, when they intend to do it, and the anticipated energy savings that they're going to see from implementing those measures. Going forwards, there's also a new annual reporting requirement which has been introduced into ESOS. That is to report on the energy savings which are being implemented. So once the action plan is in place, the customer is expected to report each year as to how they're getting on and the size of the energy reductions that they're seeing on an annual basis. And those reports are due in on the 5th of December in 2025 and 2026 respectively, before ESOS phase 4 finally ends on the 5th of December 2027 in its normal 4-year round. So the government has placed further requirements, trying to give ESOS a little bit more teeth in terms of making sure that customers implement the actions that are found to be viable across their estate.
Which I suppose really is a positive, because I know historically a criticism of the scheme has been that it's just an administration burden and people are paying money for something with no real action at the end of it. So are you in agreement this is a positive step?
It's absolutely a positive step, and it's absolutely the right thing to do. You're right that for many participants it was a box ticking exercise. But this is now an excellent opportunity for those responsible for the energy usage across a portfolio to actually present a case to their business. The action plan and the annual reporting has to be signed off by the board of directors. So this is a great opportunity to really get some momentum behind those initiatives and actually start to see the energy reductions, which the scheme's been promising since the outset, but which customers now have a real basis to deliver on.
And with the action plan in particular, what would you say are the key considerations for a client when putting this together?
The action plan will largely be based on the findings of ESOS phase 3. It doesn't have to be. It can be other energy saving measures that the customers identified through other measures. But the key considerations are to look at exactly how far you want to go with that action plan. Now, we would always recommend that a customer uses this great opportunity to put a full business case in front of their board of directors for some quite extensive measures. It's a great opportunity as a kind of one-off during the course of this phase to really get board approval, to sort out funding, to get the investment that's needed to reduce energy in a meaningful way. So our recommendation would be that customers don't look at half measures or, again, don't try to use this as just a means of compliance, but really kind of seize the nettle and grasp the opportunity.
I mean, this is all driving towards net zero, which obviously we have the 2050 target at the moment. Some customers see that as being quite far away, but as our experience is telling us, it's coming around quickly and people really need to start doing things now rather than kicking the can down the road, to say. So how are you seeing that this now, ESOS having more teeth to it can link into the wider net zero plan of a business?
Actually works in two ways when you think about it. The government is The clear direction with ESOS anyway is towards, as I say, more teeth to the scheme. And it's actually a stated aim of the government that in the future the ESOS scheme should incorporate some form of decarbonisation plan, not just energy saving, which is and they are slightly different things. But furthermore, the action plan should fit into a wider customer strategy. Again, those customers who really want to seize the opportunity should take the chance to build the energy saving measures that have been identified in ESOS into a full decarbonisation strategy. Whether that's an interim plan to reduce their scope 1 and 2 emissions over the coming 5 years, or but we would certainly recommend they go one step further than that and start to think about their scope 3 emissions as well. That's those from their supply chain and from upstream and downstream activities, and start to think about that 2050 date, which may seem a long way away, but it will come around pretty fast. And the measure, and in order to go through a full net zero plan, it does take a considerable amount of time and planning, and it's about getting the ducks in a row to do that now.
And for a customer that now has to do an action plan for ESOS, what's the approach that we're taking to help customers on that journey?
We see it very much as a consultation piece with the customer. So the customer has to submit an action plan, or at least make a submission to the Environment Agency with regards to what they intend to do. So we very much see it as a consultation piece with the customer to agree what that action plan looks like, exactly how far the customer wants to go, what kind of measures that they want to look at and include in their actual plan, and effectively plan it out on behalf of the customer. We'll also handle the submission to the ESOS system in time for the 5th of December deadline, and make sure that action plan is submitted in accordance with the deadlines. Likewise, with the ongoing reporting, we will monitor the energy consumption of the customer and make sure that the energy saving measures are having the desired effect. And again, we can take the overall responsibility for the submission of the data to the Environment Agency on the annual basis, and really take that headache away from the client with the admin burden of actually complying with the scheme.